musical. He writes me a letter. I'm opening up a new musical in New York. It's called Phantom of the Opera. We're having opening night. I look at this beautiful letter I get from Andrew Lloyd Webber, who was big before Phantom, but nothing like Phantom. And he did Jesus Christ Superstar, which was another great one. He did a lot of great things. Phantom was one of the greatest. I'm a big fan of Phantom. I mean, I have a letter from Andrew Lloyd Webber. This beautiful letter I get from Andrew Lloyd Webber writing me a letter. So he writes me a letter. I'm opening up a new musical. Andrew Lloyd Webber saying, I'd love you to come to Phantom of the Opera. Andrew Lloyd Webber writing me a letter. Andrew Lloyd Webber, he wrote me a letter. But it was an interesting letter because it's sort of like I'm opening a musical. He wrote me a letter and it said, Dear Donald, essentially saying, I'm opening a new musical in New York. It's called Phantom of the Opera. I think it might be good. Would you like to come? I said, yeah, I'd like to go. I'm opening up a musical called The Phantom of the Opera. And I said, oh, it's called Phantom of the Opera. We're having opening night in a month or whatever it was. And I'm saying to myself, all right, it's a musical. It's called Phantom of the Opera. A musical called Phantom of the Opera. Called Phantom of the Opera. Yeah. Phantom of the Opera. I'm opening up a new musical. I'm opening a show in a month or whatever it was. And I'd love you to go. Because he lived in the building at Trump Tower, he knew me a little bit. I think it might be good. Would you like to come? I said, yeah, I'd like to go. And it's Andrew Lloyd Webber, and I said, okay, I'll go. So I say on the letter, okay, I'll go. I'd love you to go. And I say, okay. And anyway, we went. And I heard the music. I said, that's phenomenal. And then I went and I heard the sound. I said, that's unbelievable. You go there and it's opening night for one of the most successful musicals ever. By the time we had intermission, it was like, I said, this thing is incredible. I go in and I see this music. I said, this thing is unbelievable. It didn't take long because the music is so good. The musical was like the Phantom of the Opera. And it was sort of amazing. And it opened with the chandelier and this. You've been there, right? With the gondolas and the candles and the whole thing coming out. And the great music.
First time I saw it shocks you when the chandelier drops.
No, but the whole thing.
The whole thing.
It was a great musical. He said, but I'm opening a musical called Phantom of the Opera. And I'm saying to myself, all right, okay. We play a lot of that music. It's great. Everybody loves it. I'm a big fan of that.
We're going to take a short commercial break. We'll return to Mar-a-Lago in just a moment.
Reloading. Requesting recon flyover.
Copy. Safety on station. Recon online.
Hello everyone, this is Valentina. Live from Palm Beach. Looking for the best to get there. Check my website www.luxstyletv.com. Valentina have a beautiful 3-bedroom, 2-bed condo. We have a Trump supporter here.
Road acceptance.
$199,000. This is amazing castle, amazing Trump.
Ready to deploy.
Condo, totally renovated.
We're losing Alpha.
So go
Keep the recon overhead.
anyway, Donald Trump is Alpha. Security is great. Everything is perfect. Everything is great. Party is on all day, all night long. Everybody is going to Mar-a-Lago. Oh, Benedict Salmone. I love that.
Enemy taking Bravo.
This is my downtown. Happy
Changing
birthday
back.
here in Mar-a-Lago. Party is on all day, all night long.
Taking Alpha. Losing Charlie.
Requesting recon flyover.
Secured all objectives. Giving no ground.
Jet decks out.
Enemy securing Charlie.
I gave you dollar on ice.
Taking Bravo.
Taking fire. Need the recon overhead.
RTB is copy that. UAV online and on the air.
Got contact.
Please move this way, please back up. Step back. Keep backing up.
Secured all objectives. We're losing out. Enemy securing Charlie. Enemy taking out. We've lost out. We're losing Charlie.
On your six. Taking fire.
Taking out. Enemy securing Bravo.
Thermite.
Securing Charlie. Securing objective Alpha.
You are in our prayers.
Alpha secure. Securing objective Bravo.
Reloading.
Securing objective. Objective Bravo secure. Friendly UAV on station. Standing by. Charlie. Enemy Bravo.
He's lost all our witness.
Friendly UAV online.
Requesting air support.
Losing Alpha. Taking Bravo.
Thermite out. One down.
On your six. Trade your bets.
It used to be fun being.
We are here at Mar-a-Lago on
Hostile
the Queen
eliminated.
Bridge, standing up to represent our great president, Donald J. Trump.
Don't say I never gave you anything.
to surrender on my knees. I will die on my feet for that man.
He protects us, he protects America, and
Hold that up.
I've been here with some Saturday, Sunday, and last night I was here too. A bunch of us, we each slept in our cars and stayed all night.
Objective Alpha is compromised. Get it back. Friendly SAE on. Enemy taking Bravo.
So fun now, is it? Send it through. We're not doing so hot.
Taking Alpha. Objective Bravo is compromised. Get it back. We're losing Charlie. Alpha secure.
numbers are up massively. Our cities are crime-ridden nests. We're very close to World War III, and I've predicted just about everything right. Terrific inflation, massive crime, bankruptcy of the entire system. Contagious stories that you're not going to want to hear. Communist price controls on food, shortages of rationing. The restaurant industry will be obliterated. Our country will go down the tubes. It's going to blow up and fail. It will be crime, chaos, and death all across our country. You go out for a loaf of bread, you end up getting shot. Let's get that music going. Come on. Welcome to 1929. Do you know what 1929 was? You don't want to know.
Securing objective.
You will have a 1929 style depression.
The mission is complete.
Enjoy it.
Good work.
A nightmare of murder and crime. A nightmare of murder and crime. And it is a nightmare. It's a bloodbath. Carnage and chaos and killing from all over the world. A dangerous world of chaos, death, and destruction. Vicious monsters are ready to do massive damage all over your community. Rape, maim, and murder. Illegal alien criminals crawling through your windows and ransacking your drawers. You know, we have an enemy from the outside, and we have an enemy from within.
The president sent me over to throw out some hats. Just get off the road a little bit.
Frankly, the enemy from within is more dangerous. Radical thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country. People would ask me, who's our biggest enemy? Is it China? Could it be Russia? Could it be North Korea? No, no, no. It's these sick, radical people from within. Our country is doomed. I think it's doomed. This country is doomed. It's doomed. A country can be doomed. You look at the Roman Empire. You look at the British Empire. You look at so many different empires. They were not even thinking about doom. And this country's not far away. Doom. The greatest threat to civilization today is, it's probably, more than anything else, ourselves.
Domination. Capture and hold the objective. Alpha secure.
On your 6.
Securing objective Bravo. Losing Alpha. Enemy securing Bravo. We're taking Charlie. We've lost Alpha.
The election is less than 2 weeks away, and with polling still pretty much neck and neck, it feels like watching a slow-motion car crash.
Throwing
We
Semtex.
could be in for 4 more years of Trump, and that feels insane. We've had nearly a decade to really get to know what this dude's all about, and there's still roughly half the voting populace who thinks he's the ideal person to be running the country. Now, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and the Democratic Party certainly deserve a lot of the blame for that, especially with their inexplicable bottom-of-the-ninth strategy of embracing the likes of Dick Cheney in a pointless effort to appeal to Republicans who
They will never love them.
they're not coming.
They will not love you no matter how much you want them to. In fact, it's driving Democrats away from you.
But, you know, say what you will about the Democrats, they never caused a deadly E. coli outbreak. And I guess technically Trump didn't do that either, but it's pretty ironic timing that right after his dumb little campaign stunt where he pretended to work at McDonald's for a total of 30 minutes, a bunch of McDonald's customers across the country came down with E. coli bacterial infection. But to be clear, the affected McDonald's locations are all in totally different parts of the country from where Trump was working drive-thru, allegedly. He allegedly have nothing to do with this.
When he filled his diaper while working at the McDonald's, that E. coli did not travel through the air.
Violating just a bunch of health codes working back there, by the way.
Enemies taking
Changing
Alpha.
back.
So the timing of these two McDonald's-related stories also, of course, led lots of Trump supporters to conclude that the E. coli news is simply a deep state false flag meant to hurt Trump. Oh, of course. It's so funny that both sides are like, the timing is really
Everyone's
suspect.
stupid. Everyone's a fucking idiot.
Everyone is just the wolf hitting themselves in the head with a mallet constantly. I mean, you'd think that if that were the case, they'd at least make the fake E. coli outbreak happen in the part of the country where Trump did his McDonald's stunt. But a key aspect of fascism is characterizing your enemies as simultaneously frighteningly powerful and also weak and incompetent. That's one of the 14 core elements of fascism that Umberto Eco famously listed in his essay Fascism, based on his own experiences living under Mussolini. It's a great essay that's pretty shockingly relevant to our current situation. We'll leave a link down below. But the reason we bring up fascism is General John Kelly, Trump's longest-serving chief of staff in his term as president. And that guy, John Kelly, just straight up called Trump a fascist this week. So, again, over the past couple weeks, we've been very cautious to keep throwing that word around. It kind of encompasses everything that Trump is going for. And, it's scary.
Definitely
and also, a lot of people in his prior administration have come out and said such things, and now this guy is just straight up saying it.
Yeah, so I mean, of course, plenty of people have been calling Trump a fascist for a very long time. But this is a guy who worked with Trump on a daily basis in the White House for a year and a half, which is an eternity in working with Trump.
That's so many Scaramucci's.
Yeah. And before that, he spent 6 months running the Department of Homeland Security. And this guy, at least at one point, was happy to not only serve under Trump, but also directly help him implement shit like the border wall and the Muslim ban, especially when he was with DHS. So this is a guy whose political beliefs line up pretty well with the Trump agenda, and he's still warning everyone that Trump is a fascist with no respect for the Constitution.
In response to a question about whether he thought Mr. Trump was a fascist, Mr. Kelly first read aloud a definition of fascism that he had found online. Well, looking at the definition of fascism, it's a far-right authoritarian, ultra-nationalist political ideology and movement characterized by a dictatorial leader, centralized autocracy, militarism, forcible suppression of opposition, belief in a natural social hierarchy, he said. Mr. Kelly said that the definition accurately describes Mr. Trump. So certainly, in my experience, those are the kinds of things that he thinks would work better in terms of running America, Kelly said. He added, certainly the former president is in the far-right area. He's certainly an authoritarian, admires people who are dictators. He has said that. So he certainly falls into the general definition of fascist, for sure.
He certainly prefers the dictator approach to government, Mr. Kelly said. Mr. Trump never accepted the fact that he wasn't the most powerful man in the world. And by power, I mean an ability to do anything he wanted, anytime he wanted, Mr. Kelly said. I think he'd love to be just like he was in business. He could tell people to do things, and they would do it, and not really bother too much about what the legalities were and whatnot, he said. Mr. Trump's recent comments about using the military against what he called the enemy within were so dangerous, he said, that he felt he had to speak out. And I think this issue of using the military to go after American citizens is one of those things I think is a very, very bad thing. Even to say it for political purposes to get elected. I think it's a very, very bad thing, let alone actually doing it, Mr. Kelly said. Mr. Kelly said that Mr. Trump was repeatedly told, dating back to his first year in office, why he should not use the U.S. military against America, and the limits on his authority to do so. Mr. Trump nevertheless continued while in office to push the issue and claim that he did have the authority to take such actions, Mr. Kelly said.
And yeah, there's a lot more there. He says that Trump fundamentally doesn't understand basic American values, the Constitution, or the role of the president. And then all he really cares about is how loyal people are to him. And we've all seen it. We know who he is. It's just this isn't a theory. Yeah, we've seen it happen. He says Trump is grossed out by disabled veterans who call wounded or killed soldiers suckers and losers, and is incapable of empathy. But where it gets really crazy is right here. Mr. Kelly confirmed previous reports that on more than one occasion, Mr. Trump spoke positively of Hitler.
Requesting the recon flyover.
He commented more than once that, Hitler did some good things too, Mr. Kelly said. Mr. Trump told him. Mr. Kelly said that Mr. Trump had little appreciation for history. I think he's lacking in it, he said, but said that he would still try to explain to Mr. Trump why those comments about Hitler were problematic. First of all, you should never say that, Mr. Kelly said that he told Mr. Trump. But if you knew what Hitler was all about from the beginning to the end, everything he did was in support of his racist, fascist life. Philosophy. So that nothing he did, you could argue, was good. It was certainly not done for the right reason. Mr. Kelly said that would usually end the conversation. But Mr. Trump would occasionally bring it up again. Hey, John! You know that Hitler guy we were talking about? You said he hasn't done his too, right? No, this is, fucking yikes. Yikes. Insane.
When people tell you who they are, listen, god damn it.
Yeah, it's very annoying that this is brushed away so easily because of everything else that's going on.
This is crazy. We've been so worn down by this man and his fucking bullshit for so goddamn long
that his longest-running chief of staff has first-hand experience.
Yeah, he's a fascist and he wants to be like Hitler.
Yes. Why isn't anyone listening to me?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Groceries are like kind of more expensive. Have you seen the price of eggs?
Mr. President, when I started mining Bitcoin in my basement, my electricity bills went through the roof. What are you doing to stop this?
So yeah, Kelly expanded on this in another interview with The Atlantic. This week I asked Kelly about their exchange. He told me that when Trump raised the subject of German generals, Kelly responded by asking, "Do you mean Bismarck's generals?" He went on, "I mean, I knew he didn't know who Bismarck was or about the Franco-Prussian War." I said, "Do you mean the Kaiser's generals? Surely you can't mean Hitler's generals." And he said, yeah, Hitler's generals. I explained to him that Rommel had to commit suicide after taking part in the plot against him. Kelly told me Trump was not acquainted with Rommel.
I would fire his ass. Plotting against me? No, thanks.
And yeah, that article doesn't go a lot more. It's more focused on Trump's alleged disrespect for the troops.
Well-noted disrespect for the troops.
Including an anecdote about him offering to pay for the funeral of a murdered soldier, and then later, upon hearing how much it would cost, telling a room full of staffers, "Doesn't cost $60,000 to bury a fucking Mexican. Don't pay it." Now with that one, everyone's denying it, including the family of the dead soldier, who seem to still be fully on the Trump train. But someone says they were there and says they heard it. But yeah, the reaction to the Hitler's general stuff, which I'd say is even worse than that, has been a fun mix of "he never said that" and "well, here's what he actually meant when he said that." With Fox News' Brian Kilmeade doing a little bit of the latter.
But I could absolutely see him go now. You know what? It'd be great to have German generals that actually do what he has to do. Knowing that's maybe not fully being cognizant of the third rail of German generals were Nazis or whatever. But he was frustrated with the slowdown of.
It wasn't just a slowdown, it was insubordination.
When you're on your Republican-sided major national event defending the presidential candidate who talked positively of Hitler, I think you've kind of lost. And also, like, there's rumors now, as we film this, of like some career-ending thing that's going to come out about Trump, and it's like, this is already out there. This should be career-ending for Trump.
Well, John Kelly, he's just trying to become famous. He did devote like 40 years of his life to military service. Yeah, he's trying to. He's clout chasing.
It is absurd that, based on polls, that this is so close. Like, it makes me feel very, very bad about the
Yeah,
that people are willing to turn a blind eye to this just obvious fascist grab, and not even turn a blind eye to it, support it.
I don't want it to happen, but if it happens, we fucking deserve it. Is kind of where I'm at right now. I'm in a dark place. It is not a good feeling right now.
I'm very hopeful in the sense that I think that it's going to be a landslide for Kamala. Not that I think that she's not that I think that she's the perfect candidate, but I feel like the polls are wildly.
But have you seen the poly market?
Exactly.
These people have money on the line.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
They wouldn't place the money on the bets if they didn't think that there was a chance that Trump would win.
Surely it's not.
It's very bizarre that a gambling website has become like a data point at all in how people talk about this election.
It is. I'm hopeful. Anything could happen, but I'm trying to stay on the positive side of things and stay hopeful that this will not happen. And despite his best efforts to try and claim that he won, despite it not being true, that that doesn't happen and everything gets sorted out in January. But the funniest possible outcome is Trump winning the popular vote and losing the Electoral College vote.
That would be funny. And, it'd be funny until he used as a pretext to seize power.
Yes. Yeah, and then it wouldn't be funny anymore, but it would be a quick and easy way to get rid of the Electoral College.
Yeah, that shit's got to go. I hate that shit. It's a dumb idea. The founders are fucking dumb for that shit. What the fuck were they thinking? Why, that's one of the reasons, this election, but every presidential election, fucking bums me out, is 90% of the population really has no fucking input on the results. Mm-hmm. It's only really Pennsylvania and Michigan and maybe a couple others where, your vote really fucking matters. But it's if you're voting for Trump in California, you're throwing it away. If you're voting for Kamala Harris in Alabama, you're throwing your vote away. It's stupid. I wish our votes matter. Your votes do matter a lot more in down ballot.
Yes.
It's important to vote, but the Electoral College sucks. Mm-hmm. It's bullshit. It's got to go.
But anyways, this fascism stuff really isn't news if you've been paying attention and know your history. Fascism isn't just authoritarianism or right-wing or everything I don't like is fascism. It's a pretty specific thing. And we would recommend reading that Umberto Eco essay, or maybe Robert O. Paxton's book, The Anatomy of Fascism, for a fleshed-out definition. Or Richard J. Evans' Third Reich trilogy, if you really like reading thousands of pages about this, but for a while now, it's applied to Trump and the culture around him. The obsession with and scapegoating of illegal immigrants and trans people, who together make up maybe 1% of the total population, definitely have parallels to the Nazis' obsession with and scapegoating of Jews, who in 1933 made up less than 1% of the German population, as just one example out of many. The conspiratorial thinking, the hostility to academia and expertise, the dismissal of any and all criticism, the rejection of modernity in favor of an idealized rose-tinted version of the past when things were great. It just checks a lot of boxes here.
Yeah, and this is a lot. A lot of these have been hallmarks of American culture going back to at least World War II, maybe even sooner. We've been primed for fascism for a while, but things have been kept mostly chilled, mostly. Yeah. But it's coming out now. It's happening.
People are no longer scared to just straight up say what they want to happen. Where half the population is giving the thumbs up to rounding up and deporting immigrants, not even just illegal immigrants, but just everyone.
Yeah, just round everyone up. Round up everyone who isn't me. Mm-hmm. And then I have the whole country.
And then you can spend the rest of your time finally getting a girlfriend, like Tim Pool's gonna do.
Wait, don't deport all the girls. Mm-hmm. I haven't looked into that too much, but
he's taking time away from the show
to find a wife.
Yeah, to lay down some roots, I guess. It's definitely not because he lost all of his funding because it was coming from Russia. It's definitely for other reasons.
Well, maybe Russia can help him out with the whole wife situation.
Maybe, we'll see.
Anyway, probably the most important thing to note is that fascism in Italy and Germany, it did not happen overnight. Things were relatively calm at first. And what you picture in your mind when you think of fascism, it came about gradually over several years of incrementally normalizing increasingly extreme rhetoric and policy. Like a lobster slowly being boiled and barely even realizing it. Scholars of fascism have for decades predicted that if it ever came to the U.S., it would have a Christian element to it that Italy and Germany's fascism notably lacked. And we can definitely see shades of that in the topic of abortion specifically. If Trump loses, it will likely be largely thanks to a majority of voters deciding that even if they don't personally like abortion, they find it a little bit icky, they still don't want the fucking government treating women who seek abortions as criminal fugitives. Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, 404 Media this week published an excellent article on how existing location tracking technology could be used to enforce abortion bans. It's a long read about a topic that we've been covering for years, recurringly, and nothing changing despite the topic coming up over and over again.
Yeah.
But here's some of it, and yeah, links to articles as always.
On a computer screen, a map shows the movements of smartphones around the globe. Zooming into an abortion clinic in the south of the United States, the online tool shows more than 700 red dots over the clinic itself, each representing a phone and, by extension, a person. The tool, called Locate X, made by a company called Battle Street, then narrows down to the movements of a specific device which had visited the clinic. This phone started at a residence in Alabama in mid-June. It then went by a Lowe's home improvement store, traveled along the highway, went past the gas station, visited a church, crossed over into Florida, and then stopped at the abortion clinic for approximately 2 hours. They had only been to the clinic once, according to the data.
The device then headed back and crossed back over into Alabama. The tool also showed their potential home based on the high frequency at which the device stopped there. The tool clearly shows this home address on its map interface. In other words, someone had traveled from Alabama, where abortion is illegal after the June 2022 overturning of Roe v. Wade, to an abortion clinic in Florida, where abortion is limited but still available early in a pregnancy. Based on the data alone, it is unclear who exactly this person is or what they were doing, whether they were receiving an abortion themselves, assisting someone seeking one, or going to the clinic for another reason. But it would be trivial for U.S. authorities, some of which already have access to this tool, to go one step further and unmask this or other abortion clinic visitors.
This data is available without a warrant as long as you pay to access it. And yeah, it's easy to imagine law enforcement using it to harass or prosecute anyone who visits an abortion clinic, even if they cross state lines to a state where abortion is legal. The underlying tech and the shady industry around it are something that we've covered for years, and it stems from the apps on your phone tracking your location and then just selling that information to the highest bidder. And this data doesn't include your name or any personally identifying information, but it's very easy to figure that stuff out just based on where the little red dot is at night, your house, and where it is most of the day, your job. Seems like this kind of thing really ought to be fucking illegal, but again, this is America.
Freedom.
Not Europe. It's very like this. Yes, every year or two we see some insane story where everyone gasps for a collective 3 days.
That's possible. All thanks to the apps on your phone selling data that maybe we should make it illegal for them to sell.
Pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We've at least got a handful of elected officials who do want to do something about this. And a representative for the FTC quoted in the story indicated it's at least on their radar. But for now, without laws directly addressing this shit, it's perfectly legal. It has the potential to be a very useful tool in enforcing strict abortion laws. Yeah, this is just an insane conclusion to this, that tracking people's movements for abortion access. Because usually it's tracking you to see like, oh, maybe you stopped at the Nike store and you're interested in some shoes. We're going to sell you some shoes.
Yeah. And the New York Times recently did an interactive article about abortion, and they were like talking to healthcare providers in southern states who were still like following the law, but that meant like they had to suddenly report a lot of their work like to the police, or like by law they have to like call up the fucking cops and say like, okay, I gave an abortion to this person and here's why it was legal, and the cops would like follow up on it. And yeah, it's just fucking creepy. And yeah, like a bunch of these doctors are just like, I had to move. I can't fucking live like this.
Yeah.
And that's what they want. That's what they want. And shit like this, it's like, it's bad enough if they do it, but just like the possibility that they could do it.
It's a threat.
That's also very useful to them.
Yes.
But speaking of the FTC, they have been surprisingly great under the leadership of Chair Lina Khan. And it would be genuinely a shame if Kamala Harris won the election and then appointed someone else to run it.
Don't you fucking do it, Kamala.
A lot of her big money donors to the Harris campaign, and particularly the ones from big tech.
Even Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban, it sounds like Tim Cook. He does not like that Lina Khan. They clearly want Lina Khan gone. They've been vocal about that.
And that should be very obvious that she's doing a good job.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But recent reporting indicates that there's at least pressure within the campaign to keep her in the role for another term. So I guess we'll see. Make the right decision. In any case, Lina Khan isn't waiting around to see what happens and is continuing to issue decisions that, to your average non-billionaire, should seem like basic common sense shit that everyone can agree on. For starters, they're going after John Deere, which for years pissed off right to repair advocates and farmers by making it impossible for farmers to repair their own farm equipment. You gotta call up John Deere, you gotta take it to a registered service center. It's a fucking tractor. Why do I have to do this shit? Come on. And also this week, the FTC's rules banning fake online reviews went into effect, with violators now potentially facing steep fines for contributing to what's become an epidemic in online shopping that makes it fucking impossible to tell whether a product is worth buying or not. So now, that's a crime.
So, yeah, it's not all bad news this week. I mean, it is mostly bad news, though. In fact, that's the only good news you'll be hearing from us today. Sorry, not our fault. Not our fault. But hey,
I don't have any support. I will never apologize for reporting the news.
But, yeah, they got the click to cancel coming up.
They got that last week. Very, very cool.
Clamping down on fake online reviews is going to be great. In theory, if it works and everyone does start getting fined.
It's just so cool when the government does stuff and it's good.
Yeah. Exciting.
It's a rare treat.
But there's more bad news coming up because we haven't even talked about Elon Musk yet. Well, before we get to that, some good news for us is that this channel is sponsored. This episode is sponsored by MWIII. The big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Sometimes when you store your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With MWIII, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. And MWIII says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. They mean
tired of your mobile provider's complicated bills, fees, and upcharges? Don't you just wish your provider could be straight up about that stuff? Well, with MWIII, say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plan's jaw-dropping monthly bills and unexpected overages. MWIII is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any MWIII plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. Ditch overpriced wireless with MWIII's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month.
To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/newsday. That is mintmobile.com/newsday. Cut your wireless bill for $15 a month at mintmobile.com/newsday. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on the first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited one. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See MintMobile for details.
And this episode is sponsored by Huel. Don't have time to prepare a complete balanced meal? Huel has you covered. Huel, spelled H-U-E-L, is the world's #1 complete nutrition brand trusted by millions. Head to Huel.com now to place your first order of this ultra-convenient, nutritionally complete meal. Whether it's for busy mornings, late nights, or powering through a hectic schedule, Huel's ready-to-drink meals are the easiest way to get all the nutrition you need in seconds. And right now, you can try it for 15% off using our exclusive code TechNewsDay15. Fuel up the easy way with Huel today.
Huel is expertly designed to be perfectly balanced with all the nutrients your body needs for a meal. It takes the guesswork out of healthy eating, and it comes in very handy when you need sustenance right now and don't have time to prep and cook a meal and don't want to go spend a bunch of money on takeout. Huel shakes come in either chocolate or vanilla, and they actually taste like a milkshake while still somehow managing to be low in sugar. So Huel is incredibly affordable with high-protein meals less than $5. And with the ready-to-drink black edition, our personal favorite, you get 35 grams of protein in each bottle, plus 27 vitamins and minerals. This is great.
Came in very handy. This very morning, I was like, I want to go to the gym in an hour. Oh, crap. I'm out of eggs.
Yep.
How do I get the protein that my body craves? Oh, I got Huel.
Forget to prep something for the morning the night before. It has been very convenient to just grab that meat on the
Yep. Access to quality, quick and easy meals has never been this easy or tasty this good. Don't believe me? Take the leap and join the community of Huel-again.
Huel-again!
With this exclusive offer of 15% off with the code TechNewsDay15 at Huel.com. That's 15% off with the code TechNewsDay15 at Huel.com. Unlock a healthier, easier way to eat with Huel. Nutritionally complete meals in minutes so you can focus on what really matters.
All right, back to the news now. And yes, get in here, Elon. It's time. I'm doing an X. You see, it actually looks pretty cool because when I jump in the air, I'm performing the letter X.
Yeah, it's very cool, Elon.
We all knew that, and it still looks very, very dumb.
We're gonna finally take Andrew Jackson off the Planet All Go, and we're gonna put Elon jumping in an X.
That's right. So Elon's full-throated
deep-throated
endorsement of Donald Trump, the insane amount of money that he's spending to help elect Trump, and his insistence on repeatedly jumping around like a dipshit on stage at Trump rallies is all pretty unprecedented in modern U.S. political history. But it definitely makes sense when you look at what's at stake for him and what he stands to gain. This week, the New York Times published a piece examining the relationships between Musk's companies and the U.S. government. And yeah, as you know, a ton of his wealth comes directly from government contracts. And with a friend in the White House, that could be a lot more money. But also at the same time, Musk's companies are currently under investigation by a bunch of government agencies and are constantly testing the boundaries of government regulation. And a Trump presidency has the potential to just make all that go away. Because Trump rewards those who are loyal. And Elon has been a very loyal boy.
He's been on his knees.
Giving me the endorsement of a lifetime.
Shaking my hand.
But yes, if you haven't seen the clip, potential Vice President Tim Walz called Elon Musk a dipshit.
Well, look, I'm not going to waste all the time I'm in. I'm going to talk about his running mate. His running mate, Elon Musk. Elon's on that stage, jumping around, skipping like a dipshit on these things. You know it.
And God bless him, because it's so, not to derail the conversation again, but like, the vibes were definitely better. Around the time Tim Walz came on as VP, and he was being folksy and telling it like it is and calling them weird. And then they
weird pivot where they were like, we should actually be paying a lot of attention to Republicans.
There were literally Democratic consultants who were quoted saying, like, we got to cut this weird stuff out. It doesn't play with the voters.
And there was like that time in September, too, where it was like, the team that helped on the Hillary campaign is going to join forces.
Yeah.
But it's just like, no.
We have loaded this gun, and I'm aiming it directly at my own foot.
Yeah.
This is how I win the race.
Again, just a lot of missed opportunities.
So, yeah, I mean, anyway, it was nice to see a brief flash of that when he called Elon Musk a dipshit dancing.
I hope it hurt his feelings. But here's some of the reporting on all of that.
Elon Musk's influence over the federal government is extraordinary and extraordinarily lucrative. Mr. Musk's rocket company, SpaceX, effectively dictates NASA's rocket launch schedule. The Defense Department relies on him to get most of its satellites to orbit. His companies were promised $3 billion across nearly 100 different contracts last year with 17 federal agencies. His entanglements with federal regulators are also numerous and adversarial. His companies have been targeted in at least 20 recent investigations or reviews, including over the safety of his Tesla cars and the environmental damage caused by his rockets. Given Mr. Musk's immense business footprint, he will be a major player no matter who wins the election. But he has thrown his fortune and power behind former President Donald J. Trump, and, in return, Mr. Trump has vowed to make Mr. Musk head of a new Government Efficiency Commission with the power to recommend wide-ranging cuts at federal agencies and changes to federal rules. That would essentially give the world's richest man and a major government contractor the power to regulate the regulators who hold sway over his companies, amounting to a potentially enormous conflict of interest.
Yes, the exact definition of a conflict of interest. It would be insane. The ultimate conclusion of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's fucking obvious too. It's one again, it's just like
they're doing everything out in the open.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Is that the country you want to live in?
Apparently. Half the people do.
Fuck.
And they go on to list various conflicts Elon currently has with the FCC, the FAA, the FTC, the SEC, the EPA, and the NLRB, the DOJ, and so on and so on and so on, all of which stem from these agencies just enforcing their rules, but which Elon repeatedly frames in public statements as the government personally having it out for him. So under a Trump presidency, that would presumably all be much less of a problem, especially with Elon himself in charge of government efficiency, whatever that means. But there's also other benefits to having Trump in office, like paying much lower taxes, as opposed to under Kamala Harris, who has indicated that she will try to tax unrealized capital gains, which makes up a huge chunk of his wealth. And on top of that, if Trump does appoint Musk as the head of the Department of Government Efficiency or whatever.
It spells Doge.
Doge. There's even more lucrative tax breaks for him. Here's the lever.
Thanks to a provision buried in the tax code, Elon Musk could reap one of the largest personalized tax breaks in American history if former President Donald Trump wins the 2024 election and fulfills his pledge to appoint Musk to a top government post, according to tax and ethics experts' review of long-standing statutes. This special tax benefit, which is only available to federal officials, would be in addition to massive tax breaks Musk could reap if a new Trump administration further cuts income and other taxes for billionaires. And it's a long article, but basically, when someone is appointed to a cabinet position, they're supposed to divest from any holdings they have that are, in direct conflict of interest to their government work, which for Musk would be basically all of his companies. Seems unlikely he'd want to do that. But if he does, he wouldn't have to pay any capital gains tax on any of that Tesla and SpaceX stock that he sells, because there's a little loophole that would let him just defer it indefinitely. And government officials have done this in the past. Henry Paulson, who was in the George W. Bush administration at the end and oversaw part of the financial crisis, he didn't pay like billions in capital gains despite divesting. Again, though, divestment, it doesn't seem like something Elon would want to do. So it is kind of weird how enthusiastic he is about working for Trump. Unless he's confident that the government agencies that would force him to divest would somehow make a little exception for him.
Hey, anything's possible, I guess.
Especially if he's the one who decides who to fire and who gets to stay. Oh, weird. The guy in charge of making sure everyone divests from their conflicts of interest doesn't work there anymore. So, what are you going to do about it?
Anyways, one of the other reasons Elon is so gung-ho about Trump is that, according to Elon, if Harris wins, he'll be going to prison.
Oh my God, I wish.
Which, yeah, it seems like an exaggeration, but the stuff he and his political action committee have been doing lately have put him in the crosshairs of the Department of Justice for seeming a whole lot like paying people to register to vote, which is illegal. Here's CNN. The Justice Department warned Elon Musk's America PAC in recent days that his $1 million sweepstakes to register voters in swing states may violate federal law. People briefed on the matter told CNN. Musk, who has thrown his support behind former President Donald Trump and is spending millions of dollars supporting his candidacy, has publicized the $1 million prize by his political action committee aiming to increase voter registrations in hotly contested states.
Musk's initial promise to pay prizes to registered voters immediately raised concerns from election law experts and some state officials who questioned whether it ran afoul of the law. Federal law bars paying people to register to vote. The language of the petition currently promises $1 million prizes to people chosen at random for signing a petition in support of the First and Second Amendment freedoms. But to sign the petition, you must be registered to vote in specific states. A letter from the Justice Department's Public Integrity Section, which investigates potential election-related law violations, went to Musk's political action committee, according to Legal Brief on the matter.
So, yeah, just throw that on the pile of legal issues Elon Musk isn't too worried about as long as Trump wins and makes it all go away. Poof. But if Trump doesn't win, we might have some very fun criminal prosecution of Elon Musk to look forward to. And we definitely need something to look forward to right now.
It's so bleak.
With the betting market shit, all I can say about that is the other thing. This is what I said on the video earlier this week. Is that with the results of the election potentially being, or almost certainly being, called into question immediately, these gambling websites that are based overseas for the most part are going to be under they'll be under no obligation to pay anyone out.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I guess we'll never know who really won.
And when you look at how much Elon Musk is spending through things like his super PAC and elsewhere, giving away all this money, it doesn't take too much to figure out that there's probably a bunch of really, really, really rich people juicing the numbers on that because there's a potential reward for them in it, and that's a Trump presidency. If they can shift the public narrative to assuming that Trump's going to win in a landslide, which even if he doesn't, that allows them to have some kind of burden of proof to say that, well, look at all this. How is it possible that he lost this badly when the betting market?
Yeah, something's fishy about these results. The betting market said he was a lock to win. Anyway, also Elon, of course, using everything he's spreading fake news on Twitter.com on the daily basis. Today, in response to the John Kelly fascism thing, he knowingly shared a totally fake
Atlantic
headline that said Trump is literally Hitler. And he's like, can you believe what they're printing in the fake news? Yeah. It's like, well, they're not printing that. That's something you made up. It's literally. This is what straw man means. You're arguing with the straw man.
It's wild.
And got community noted, I think, but I'm not sure the note's there because he's Elon. He can make that go away.
Yeah, very easy. Anyways, if you missed it, we have more of the same over here. You know what you're getting into. We got Trump working at McDonald's.
Rock and roll McDonald's. Donald Trump McDonald's.
Has anyone made the Mac Tonight connection to Trump yet? Because they're both fascists.
No, not Mac tonight.
No, he was appropriated by the alt-right.
Yeah, but that was brief.
It didn't stick.
No, Mac tonight, he's a good boy.
But speaking of things that rhyme with that, Arthur Knight was on Weekly
Arthur Knight.
So check out both of those episodes. But before you do, make sure you like the video. I forgot to say it. Please don't make me regret accidentally saying it. Please like the video.
Subscribe.
Subscribe to the
Leave a
channel.
comment.
Leave a comment down below. Remember, it's a forum down there. You just start a topic.
It's a
and
new
everyone
social
replies.
network with no Elon.
That's right.
Down there.
Check out the videos are up there now. Now you can check them out. Make sure you like the video, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Hostiles. Snipers down.
We're taking Bravo.
Be as ambitious as
The
possible.
woman who helped raise us was a small business owner. I know who small business owners are. I know what they do. They are the backbone of America's economy. And for too long, we've overlooked
Fucking
their
Brian, kill
value
me.
to
Oh
the
my
economy
God.
as a whole, much less to the economy
That's the
of
daughter
cities and
of
communities.
someone
So
who
that's why
wants
my plan and
have the same
is
God.
about tax cuts
to buy their
for
very
our
own
small
car.
businesses.
And persuadable voters. That's what they all said they are at a CNN town hall. Part of Harris's final pitch. Danger, a second Trump could pose. She has been using that word dangerous, which has been a big emphasis for her over recent days. Coming as CNN has learned, former President Obama shared a similar message at a fundraiser for Harris this week. He described Trump as somebody who white nationalists explicitly rally around. It's a quote from the former president there. And on that note, panel back along with Jay Carney, former White House press secretary under President Obama. So Jay, he's been out there now several times, and I actually have listened to a few of them. So he's got a speech. He's got
Harris talking to the 10 dumbest people in Pennsylvania tonight.
He's got a message that he's putting out there. How effective do you think he
I
is?
cannot wait for undecided questions, dude. Undecided panelist selector is like a specific pit of hell. Like, I think they bring out Frank Lawrence or any number of these different specialists from a unique place that normal humans cannot live in to find truly some of the weirdest fucking people of all time. Actually, I'm quite undecided on on Kamala Harris's defense of Israel. I feel like she has not defended Israel hard enough, in my estimation. What do you have to say to this, Kamala Harris? It's always shit like that. It's always like, will Kamala Harris allow Iran to be nuked in a nuclear first strike by Israel? It's like, how? How are you this person? How is this even like confusing for you? Bet not a single Gaza question? No, the fucking Gaza question would be straight up. The Gaza question would be straight up just like Kamala Harris, why are you Kamala Harris, why are you not allowing population transfer to occur in Gaza? Are you anti-Semitic? That's going to be the fucking question.
Horrible, and hers are great. If we talk about that, the people.
I'm an undecided voter, and I was wondering when the Georgian invitation for NATO was going to finalize. I would like to know that. Hello, I'm an undecided voter, and I was really worried about the Chinese military drills that have been occurring around Taiwan. What will Kamala Harris do to nuclear first strike CCP and China to ensure that Taiwan takes over its rightful claim over mainland China, as once predicted by Chiang Kai-shek? These are my undecided voter guys that I'm inventing at every single. I'm inventing them. And there are Ryan Ruths all around for those with eyes to see. Okay.
Separates her from Biden and distinguishes her from
I so agree with what Jay said, and I think you can fall into a trap if you're just listing proposals. You have to talk about the experience of people in this economy, and she needs to make that connection here and talk about how her policies will actually help. She's got practical policies on housing, on taking care of an elderly parent, on the kinds of things that people talk about around their kitchen table. And there are a lot of families in this country who are talking about that, not democracy.
Right. I would just say this, with respect to both you guys, Barack Obama's a great surrogate, right? Kamala Harris has to, she's got to close the deal here. On the way over here today, that Uber driver from Ghana, who's been here 10 years.
It's H.R. McMaster, dude.
Doesn't know who I am. I'm asking him kind of, what are you paying attention to?
I remember him looking more impressive.
He can't vote. He doesn't have a green card. He said,
that's a U.S. general you're talking about, soldier.
American guy. He said, all my friends. I said,
He's
who you
favorite
voting
of
for?
Trump's
I can't
generals.
vote. All my friends are voting for Trump.
I'm a, what's his fucking name? Mark Miley
It's
fan.
killing us.
Mark Milley. Oh,
Yeah.
Mao Zedong.
Yeah.
Mark Milley. Maoist Third World is Mark Milley.
I love it, yeah.
Who's gay.
So much to fill.
He's gay, he's woke.
Dude, I love. Have you seen the photos, right? Like, you see the memes of Mark Milley where they like paint him with like eyeshadow.
Yeah, and then
like,
he's wearing like a fur.
hair.
He's wearing like furry shit.
Yeah,
I love the idea.
That.
I love the idea of Mark Milley glomping people. I also like my other favorite general. The clip of the guy who's like, he was like whoever. I don't think he was in charge of Afghanistan, but he was like on the general staff. The guy who's like, we are the true mujahideen. We are fighting for Allah and truth.
Someone to challenge.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Was it spider rapist? What is that's one of my favorite. I mean, I lie on his name. His name is not actually Spider Rapist, but I like calling him that because I think it's funny.
Who is that?
It's like, no, his name is like Spider Mark, and that's how he's like referred to as. On CNN when he goes on there because he's like,
I don't watch enough CNN.
No, these guys, yeah, Spider Marks is what his name is, but it's always like they always refer to generals with their code names and everything when their job now is basically to just like sell product for Raytheon. Like they go on there and they're like, that's right, the Houthis are actually an imminent threat, and the only way we can stop them is if they buy this Raytheon missile system. If Israel pronto purchases these missile systems that I am contractually obligated to sell on the show. But whenever they do that, it's always like, yeah, it's always a guy whose name is like Henry Spider Rapist Marks. Like Brigadier General.
They do, yeah. Like Mad Dog Mattis always pissed me off. Mad Dog Mattis pissed me off because it was like, you weren't in combat until you were like 63. Like, fuck, no one called you Mad Dog. They called you Mad Dog because you were so good at doing push-ups, because that's all you did until Iraq.
Yeah, well, how dare you? That's a American general you're disparaging right now.
I am on Trump's side against the so-called Mad Dog Mattis.
HRT McMasters. More like HRT McMasters. He's gay. It's like the most thumb-shaped person you've ever seen.
Voters say they are ill-decided or persuadable. All of them are registered.
Oh man, these are some great.
There you go.
Yeah.
I called that. Oh, she got the idea of dog tag and the yellow ribbon. She's gonna stand up and be like, "I'm still." I feel like your loyalty to Israel is questioned.
Yeah,
I haven't been able to get a good assessment.
Those are perfect undecided voters.
Yeah,
some real grade A votes. And then an Israel lady. That's perfect.
Israel lady that definitely has voted for Trump and has voted for Trump and will do it again. And being like, when will you allow popular citizenship to occur?
Have you seen that Trump PAC ad where it's like a bunch of like clearly like Anglo ladies and they're like, "Oy vey, I had another Jewish day. You know, I don't like Trump, but Kamala's gonna kill all the best ad I've ever
I can't
seen."
wait for an undecided voter to be like, how will you address campus anti-Semitism?
Yeah.
That's my favorite undecided voter.
You've been calling Donald Trump unstable, unhinged. You call him dangerous. You quoted General Milley recently, who called him Today, you quoted General Kelly, who said that Trump repeatedly praised him. But there are tens of millions of Americans right now who also praise him. Don't buy it.
What do you say to them?
They're
If you're gonna ask her about it, you might as well be like, "Are you alienating supporters?"
Days to go. What do you say to those voters to convince them? Because some of them are in this room.
Sure, and I thank you all for taking the time to be here.
I prosecuted transnational gangs.
A number of other things. So this really is proof that we love our country. People are engaged, Anderson, and really want to talk about the issues. And so the issue that you raise, yes, I do believe that Donald Trump is unstable, increasingly unstable, and unfit to serve. And I don't necessarily think that everyone has heard what you and I have heard repeatedly, which is the people who know Donald Trump best, the people who work with him in the White House, in the Situation Room, in the Oval Office, all Republicans, by the way, who served in his administration, his former chief of staff, his national security advisor, former secretaries of defense, and his vice president have all called him unfit and dangerous. They have said explicitly he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States.
All right,
They have said he should never again serve as president of the United States. We know that.
I don't know anything about hair design.
Why the job was empty.
Are Kamala's highlights natural?
That John Kelly,
because I've seen some pretty bold natural highlights in my life.
Longest-serving
Believe me.
chief of staff,
No?
gave an interview recently in the last
Yeah, I
2
guess
weeks
that
of
makes
this
sense.
election, talking about how
Shows what I know.
Trump is. And I think one has to think about why would
Well, okay,
someone who
I have
served
seen
with
some like
him, who's
really
not
bold
political, a
natural
four-star
highlights
Marine
in my
general.
life.
Why is he telling
My brother has like very dark
And frankly,
hair,
I think
like
it is,
mine.
he's just putting out a 911 call to the American
But then it gets kind of an auburn red highlight
Understand what
in the
could
summer.
happen if Donald
And he's
Trump
not
was
doing that
actually in
anyway.
the White House. And this time,
Yeah,
you must take
man.
very seriously. Those
How
folks
else
who
am I supposed to learn?
and who are
If
career
not for asking
people
questions about
are
it?
not going to be there to hold him back. At least before, there were folks who we know what he would say, but they would restrain him. Imagine now Donald Trump in the Oval Office, in the Situation Room. He who has openly admired dictators, said he would be a dictator on day one. The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff has said he is us to the core.
You know, I think the worst thing that ever happened to Trump electorally
Reflect, especially those who are
was
undecided.
people finding, seeing he was a known quantity.
Go online and listen to John Kelly, his voice, talking about what he thinks of Donald Trump 2 weeks before the election.
Electorally, it was very bad for people to know that Donald Trump is a known quantity. But it's also kind of bad for this type of campaign posture where you're, placing him in unique danger. And yeah, no, you could argue from legal perspective, you dumbass things he did that no one else did. Sure. But it's kind of harder to sell it to Americans after they've seen him, and a lot of Americans' disappointments in him were that, and this is not a value judgment, they thought he was going to be like an outsider or radical centrist, and he was just a regular Republican. It sort of like decouples him from the things that voters don't like about him the most.
Politicians. These are career people who have served in the highest roles in national security, who have served as generals in our military, who are highly respected. Talking about,
does this move anyone?
Be commander-in-chief.
Anyone who has like parents out there who are
how he talks about the military.
What would you call them?
Referring
Mitt Romney Republicans? Are they into this? I don't know. I don't know anyone like that. I could be wrong.
To sacrifice their life for our country. And I do believe, Anderson, that
objection
is why, even just this week,
don't let anyone who was born in 1960 and signed up for the military as an officer
she has
in 1980
her father, the former,
be like, oh, I'm ready to die for America. Where? In Grenada? Fat chance, bub.
Members of the administration from Ronald Reagan to both Bush to Donald Trump even have endorsed my candidacy. And the reason why among them is a legitimate fear based on Donald Trump's words and actions that he will not
Hey, everyone you don't like, all the career politicians and
the United States.
fucking everyone,
has said he would
they're all with me against Donald Trump because he's so dangerous and outsidery.
Your vote to stand again behind the seal of the President of the United States? No one standing behind the seal of the President of the United States of America should be in that position saying they want to terminate the Constitution of the United States.
Let's get to some of our voters. I want you to meet a registered Republican who's very concerned about Trump's views on democracy and January 6th. She told us she's looking for a reason to vote for you, but is yet to make her final decision. Her name is Natasha Kwiatkowski. She's a student at Bryn Mawr College.
Subtitles.
What's your question, Natasha?
If they were, I would turn them
being
on.
Here, and thank you for taking my question.
Thank you, Natasha.
And as someone who hasn't fully committed to either party, how do you plan to address the concerns of independent voters and anti-Trump Republicans like myself who feel left out of the polarized political landscape? And what specific actions would you take to bridge the political divide and create more unity?
That's enough.
That's a wonderful question.
I love Bradley. God, he's such a fucking
to be a
ape.
president for all Americans. And I think
Was he the guy who like smacked Ronaldo?
Yeah.
People are
I swore
frankly
Ronaldo on that.
exhausted
I think it's mean to take someone's
with
hat, but
what
come
has been
on.
happening over the last several years, which is this environment that is suggesting that Americans should be pointing fingers at one another, that we are divided as a nation, instead of what I think you and I will speak for us, I think.
What specific actions would you take to bridge the political divide and create more unity is such an awesome nothing burger question.
For like
the American
so this is a
people
student at
deserve
Bryn
to
Mawr.
have a president
Presumably
who's
she's in like
grounded in what
her
is
early
common
20s.
sense, what is
You're so fed up if you're like 21 and you're like, how are you gonna bridge the divide?
I started my career as a prosecutor. And I will tell you,
Take a shot.
I never in most of my career was outside of Washington, D.C., by the way. Only 4 years when I was in the Senate were in Washington, other than being vice president. I have never, in my career as a prosecutor, asked a victim or a witness of a crime, are you a Democrat or a Republican? The only thing I've ever asked is, are you
How can I help? Are you okay?
And I believe that is what the American people
She thinks
deserve.
that's like a JFK bar, by the way.
Like no one.
It sucks so bad.
No one
or what
like
is in their personal
thinks that
interest. And I reference that because, as we know,
No,
it has been
I'm a career nurse, and I always ask, are you a Republican or a Democrat before administering first aid?
how those areas,
I make every victim
people
of
who
every
have been
crime take a woke
traumatized by
test.
extreme weather would get relief. He asked the question, did they vote for him? I believe the American people deserve better. And they deserve a president who is focused on solutions, not sitting in the Oval Office.
You will never
plotting
convince me that
revenge.
genuine, real people care about like a president saying this shit.
Yeah.
Like I just want to hear like what kind of how much money are you going to give me? Like
Self as an independent.
This is
undecided. Eric
could be a weapons grade
for being here.
Dope.
So my question is concerning.
He's going to ask her about Hot
prices
Wheels.
Have gone up quite a bit in the last 4 years, and some people, like
IT manager,
some people, like
I'm
President
sorry.
Biden, who would you say is correct, and what would you do to bring prices down for Americans?
Okay, that's not that bad of a question.
You know what? I know what I think most Americans know it. Price of groceries is still too high. And we need to address it in a number of ways. One of my aspects is we need to bring down the cost of living for working people and the middle class in America is to address the issue of grocery prices. Part of my background and how I come to it is probably a new approach, grounded in a lot of my experiences as a former attorney general, where I took on price gouging. And part of my plan is to create a new approach that is
only
the
thing that
first time
tracks
that we will
well
have
with
a
the
national
general public.
ban
That
on
and like
price
expanding
gouging,
Medicare for
which is
at-home care.
companies
I think you're forgetting about our signature policy.
desperation and need
Pell
of
Grants for
consumers
people who
jacking up
for
prices
Amber
without
Frost.
any consequence or accountability.
I hate that so
So
much.
that is one way, but
It's
to your
like
point,
her
Eric,
worst
there-
received policy, by the way. And she still says it every time.
Down the
Closest thing she has
It
to a
includes what
signature
we need is
policy.
a new approach that I bring to the issue of affordable housing.
I took on
Including-
transnational prices.
My experience, knowing what has been happening in terms of how corporations have been buying up blocks
Yeah,
of
she
property
flipped Pete and she's
to
paying
diminish
him as a
competition,
criminal informant.
and then rents get jacked up.
He's
and
wearing
addressing
a
that.
wire.
By the way,
Red protein.
Low-key actually been talking about some of the initiatives of the Biden administration, and I'm very frustrated that it took this long for her to get to this.
Knowing that for too long,
Like, this is
frankly,
good
both
shit if you want to win an
administrations,
election.
both
She should have been doing this
administrations in
from
both
day
parties,
one.
Democrats and Republicans haven't done enough to deal with the issue of housing, and we need a
You think
new
she's
approach
going
that
to
includes
shit can? I kind of think so. I kind of
is a developed
We'll
public
see.
sector.
I mean, why
working with the
shouldn't
private
she,
sector
you know?
to cut through the red tape.
It's just
working
like,
with home builders.
I don't think that you can have a White House where like Tony West is one of the closest people to the president, and you keep Lena Khan. I just don't think that happens.
Price gouging. I looked at your plan.
You don't understand.
You talk about going after price gougers.
Tony West wants to take all of the other
crisis. I get
he
that.
wants all of the other monopolies to be destroyed so that
Yeah.
Well, first of all, Anderson, as you know, and obviously CNN has been covering extensively what has been happening in the state of Georgia, North Carolina, Florida. It's a real issue. I was Attorney General of California.
Oh my
top law
God.
enforcement officer of the biggest state in the country. I took this issue on because it affects a lot of people. And I'm not going to apologize for the fact that we need to actually deal with accountability when these, not all, in fact, most don't, but when companies are taking advantage of the desperation and the need of
That's one of the best Democratic sentences I've ever heard. I'm not going to apologize for the fact that we need accountability.
There was a reduction of supply.
I want that tattooed on my back. That's awesome.
I'll be fair. I'm going to be fair. I'm calling balls and strikes.
Tonight,
This is
talk with you and answer your
obviously not very well delivered, but this is a good message. And it actually performs well as well.
It's better than what I usually see from her in this,
on every
in the last
goods and necessities.
like
And
6
that
to 8
by
weeks, I would say.
economists'
Sure.
estimates, independent economists would cost you as the American consumer and taxpayer
Oh no!
an additional
Now she's going back to Goldman
$4,000.
Sachs. She's going to say Goldman Sachs likes my. Oh, she didn't say it. Thank God Anderson Cooper cut her off.
She's a registered Democrat who said she's leaning toward voting for you, has yet to make her final decision. Carol?
Hi, Carol.
Good evening. Thank you for visiting us in Delaware County, Vice President Harris. My question is this. If you could accomplish only one major policy goal that required congressional action, what would it be and why?
That's actually a pretty good question.
Well,
She's a poli-sci professor.
To be honest with you, Carol. There's a lot of work that needs to happen, but let's. I think that maybe part of
And she's not
this
gonna answer
point
this.
that how I
No job.
is we've got to get past this era of politics and partisan politics.
Oh my God.
Slowing down what we need to do in terms of progress in our country. And that means
What's your
working
number
across
one
the aisle.
priority if you could pass it legislatively?
Whether it be what
We have to get rid of politics.
bipartisan infrastructure deal or something.
I'm Brian Kilmeade. I'm Brian Kilmeade. This woman basically laid it up for her to be like, abortion.
Yeah.
I'm going to codify Roe v. Wade.
Hey, Kamala, remember what your campaign is about? You know, I think there should be one party in all of should be.
Creating legislation that creates incentives for that. What we need to do to reinstate the freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body. And
she remembered. Good job. Good work, Kamala.
Whether it be what we need to do to
No, she's saying there's so much to do that she can't choose any one. Just say just say abortion or say Medicare for all. I'm going to do Medicare for all.
We're American workers, and
No, she's not an apology tour for everything she said in 2020.
in a way that is good-paying jobs that gives people the dignity they deserve. All of those areas, I plan on working across the aisle and with
She
Congress.
asked, what would you do if you had...
What is your priority, dummy?
You've talked about codifying Roe v. Wade.
Anderson Cooper is helping her!
60 votes in.
Anderson Cooper is literally carrying. He's like, come on, Kamala. You said Roe v. Wade, right? You would do codifying Roe v. Wade, right, Mass?
Oh my God.
What do you do?
I think we need to take a look at the filibuster, to be honest with you. But the reality of it is this. Let's talk about how we got here.
Why?
When Donald Trump was president, he hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did as he intended. And now in 20 states, we have Trump abortion bans that include punishing healthcare providers, doctors and nurses. In Texas, do you know they provide for prison for life for a healthcare provider for doing the job that they believe?
We have to start taking a look seriously at what kind of plans we can have about the filibuster as a concept, as a theory, as an idea.
how I can't.
Just say you're going to abolish the filibuster. Just say it. It doesn't matter. Just lie. I don't understand. Why won't she lie?
Survivor of
Like, Donald Trump literally says he's going to do concentration camps. He's not going to be able to do concentration camps to the same degree that he wants to.
in our country.
And it's like, but it doesn't matter. He's going to lie anyway. He lies. He says immigrants are eating cats and dogs. Just lie. Say you're going to do Medicare for all. Think like it's 2019 again.
You're already lying to the American people when you're like, no, Joe Biden stepped down because he decided it was best for a generation of Americans to blah, 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 blah. When you pretend that, like,
she's lying when she says she's going to give $50,000 in tax cuts to startups. Republicans are not going to let that happen because they're going to be obstructionists anyway. So if you're going to lie, why not lie for good shit instead of like boring neoliberal bullshit?
They've lied about Joe Biden's mental competence for years and years and years. Still doing it.
Access to in vitro fertilization.
You're already lying.
I didn't intend that there would be an effort to limit access to
for the start.
So, you know, this is probably one of the most fundamental freedoms that we as Americans could imagine, which is the freedom to literally make decisions.
One of the most fundamental freedoms that we as Americans could imagine. And when you take the spaces and pauses out of her sentences,
partisanship should be
just astounding.
And I'll close at this point.
Kitty was napping in class and got us all
Look at the midterms. In so-called red states and so-called...
I can't imagine a more fundamental freedom. Well, I can in a couple, but they're right up there with this freedom that I would imagine.
Yeah, also, they're voting for that in Arizona, and you're probably still going to lose. But or in Florida.
But she isn't sure who's better for the economy. Leanne?
Hi, Vice President. Thank you for being here today. Considering you have been in the position of Vice President for the past 4 years under the Biden administration, how can we expect you to deviate from the direction of that administration compared to your own? How can we differentiate your policy and your beliefs from that of Biden's?
Okay, this was a surprise. I would not have thought like a UPenn young black woman would be asking such a conservative question. Like demographically speaking, this is like
this role, my own ideas.
I don't know if it's conservative. Like,
I represent a new generation of leadership on a number of issues and believe that we have to actually take new approaches. For example, what we talked about in terms of housing.
I thought you would talk about Gaza. I thought the question would be about Gaza.
Leads to that priority.
I think they only let you in if you're in the youth wing of Third Way.
When I brought billions of dollars to homeowners that were the subject of predatory lending. I know what home ownership means to the American people, not to mention what it meant to my mother, who worked very hard and saved up so that by the time I was a teenager, she was able to buy our first home. I bring to it my experience.
Homes were a really big part of my childhood.
And it was, as it turned out, dying.
You know, as someone who grew up in a home,
I know what it means.
Scratch that. For someone who grew up as the daughter of a homeowner.
And so I bring to my priorities and a new approach and a new idea, frankly.
What is the approach? What's new? Say what's different.
The approach I take is that I represent a new generation of lawmakers that have priorities inside these ideas that will take precedent.
Says, hey, you shouldn't have
if we can hold accountable
wipe out all your savings to
the companies that are making it so that
support to hire someone
homeownership
cook for your parents
is something that can be aspired to.
That I know what that requires. You should
rather than just something
quit your job
that is out of reach
in order to do the work that is necessary to take care of your children and your parents, because it's overwhelming to try to do it all. And so my plan is to have and allow Medicare to cover the cost of home health care for our seniors.
I think this is like a broad question where she can separate way further than just simply saying like, I'm going to do a Medicare expansion for at-home care.
I think it's well overdue.
I think that's like as ambitious as her policy can get.
This is where she's supposed to be as ambitious as
possible. The woman who helped raise us was a small business owner. I know who small business owners are. I know what they do. They are the backbone of America's economy. And for too long, we've overlooked their value as a whole, much less to the economy
the daughter
and community.
Of someone
who wants my plan and save up about tax cuts
to buy their very own car.
Oh God!
invest in communities.
She's talking to like a
invest in
20-year-old UPenn student about tax cuts and $50,000 in tax cuts for small
new
businesses.
generational
I know how
leadership based on
important
new ideas
taxes are.
and frankly different experiences.
When I was growing
I
up,
bring a whole set of different experiences.
my mom followed them.
To this job and the way I think about it than Joe Biden.
Some voters, though, might ask, you've been in the White House for 4 years, you were vice president, not the president, but why wasn't any of that done for the last 4 years?
Well, there was a lot that was done, but there's more to do. And I'm pointing out things that need to be done, that haven't been done, but need to be done. And I'm not going to shy away from saying, hey, these are still problems that we need to fix.
I want you to meet Jackson
I think it's just like a weird verbal kid.
Pennsylvania,
I
registered
mean,
Republican.
I do think that there is a...
You have to make up.
Oh, no. You're about to get up, bitch.
Regarding the rapid increase in the migrant population, how will you ensure that everyone gets integrated into American
What do you
society
think about
safely?
the banning
What benefits and
of
subsidies
pajama
will you
girls?
provide them with? And how long will these benefits and subsidies last for an individual? Most importantly, will the American citizens' taxes pay for these benefits and subsidies? And if so, how much money will be allocated?
Oh, she got groin.
Well, thank you, Jackson. Let's start with this.
Shut up,
America's
nerd.
immigration system
No,
is broken,
Jackson
and
owned
it needs
her.
to be fixed. And it's been
I'm in
broken for a
Groiper
long
chat
time.
with Jackson. I'm giving him
Part of
props.
what we need to do is always prioritize what we need to do to strengthen our border. I will tell you, I'm the only person.
We have to
in this race
prioritize
among
what
the
we
two
need to
choices
do.
that voters have.
The border.
Personally prosecuted transsexual organizations. In the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human I have spent a significant part of my career. And that we do not allow
Perfect compliment
criminals
response.
here,
She's like
and
a
we don't allow
nonsense
that
phrase
kind of
like, we need to prioritize those.
And
I believe in the things that we need to prioritize in order to, and then transnational games.
He's not serious about killing migrants. I am. The guy who keeps saying they're rapists every day. He's not with it.
Conservative members of the United States Congress
Look at his working on Jackson.
they came up with a border security
Jackson's like, he's
that would
pretty
have put
big.
1,500 more border
We need more border agents.
It would have allowed us to have more to stay before fentanyl.
I'm going to make a point for
I don't need to tell this state and people
Now
around
it's like
the country
dog.
what is happening in terms of the scourge of fentanyl and how it is literally killing Americans.
There should be someone who
What does that have to do with immigration, dumbass?
It would have given more resources.
There should be someone who's like pro-fentanyl at one of these.
It would have done a lot of good. Donald Trump got wind of the bill and told them, don't
Are
put it
Democrats
forward.
getting
Kill
like
the
a
bill
sponsorship deal
because he
to
preferred
talk
to
about
run
the
on a problem instead
dumbass
of
border
fixing a
bill?
problem. We have
They
to have a secure
love
border.
this. They're going to be on their deathbeds
have
being
to
like,
have a
the border
comprehensive
guards
pathway
liked it.
For
Until they literally
citizenship.
were like, yeah,
And
we don't
that
like it anymore.
includes requiring people,
We are endorsing
hardworking
Donald
people
Trump,
to
of course.
citizenship and do it in a comprehensive, humane, and orderly manner.
Let me ask you about that. I mean, you talk about the bill.
You know what I think the thing is with Kamala's patter? Like
talk about the
we have to prioritize those ideas in which blah, blah, blah.
2022.
I think that's the problem in having a politician where their beliefs are so malleable and that they don't have like three core things that they can go back on, like even Biden and Trump has.
In 2024,
she's so
just
ephemeral,
3 weeks before
just
the last
ideologically,
first presidential debate with Joe Biden,
that
you institute executive actions
most
that have
of her
dramatic
output is
impact,
just filler
really
words
shut
and
down
filler
people
phrases
crossing
that are-
over.
when you
Why didn't
actually,
your administration
like,
do
remove
that
the
in
spacing
2022,
and
2023?
performance from them?
That's exactly right, Anderson. And as of today, we have cut the flow of immigration by over half. In fact, the numbers I saw most recently, illegal immigration is low.
That
But
is
hold on, let me
that
finish.
executive action. Why not do it in 2022, 2023?
Because we were working with Congress and hoping that actually we could have a long-term fix to the problem instead of a short-term fix.
You couldn't have done one and get both at the same time.
Well, here's the thing. We have to understand that ultimately this problem is going to be fixed through congressional action. Congress has the authority and the purse. I'd hate to use DC terms, but literally they write the checks. Part of the issue is in order to really fix the problem at the border. I was just at the border recently talking with border agents. You know what they talk about? Yes, they are overwhelmed, They're working around the clock, and the other thing that they talked to me about,
I feel really bad
we
for
need
the
more
border
judges
agents. I
down
feel
there
really
to
bad
deal
for the
with asylum
Gestapo.
claims.
Can we get
need
better
more
help for the
personnel
border
down there to
agents?
deal with processing. But Anderson, and that's where Congress kicks in terms of dedicating the resources to actually
When they get everything they want, just like the police do, you are left with nothing. So then that's why like Republicans do this funny thing where it's like, I'm gonna make it illegal to be mean to cops. Like that's next election cycle. That's what's gonna be the Democratic Party position. It's illegal now to make fun of the Customs and Border Patrol because they can't do their jobs if you make fun of them.
Do you wish you'd done those executive orders in 2022, 2023?
I think we did the right thing. But the best thing that can happen for the American people is that we have bipartisan work happening, and I pledge to you that I will work across the aisle to fix this long-standing problem. I think the American people are demanding it on both sides of the aisle. And it's time we actually put the partisan approach to this aside. We know what can work.
Well, let's talk about this compromise bill that you want to pass if you're elected. You said that's going to be a priority. It includes $650 million in funding for the border wall. That's something Republicans wanted. That was part of the compromise. Under Donald Trump, you criticized the wall more than 50 times. You called it stupid, useless, and a vanity project. Is a border wall stupid?
Well, let's talk about Donald Trump and that border wall.
Would you kick my ass?
So remember, Donald Trump said Mexico would pay for it? Come on, they didn't. How much of that wall did he build? I think.
Yeah, that was the problem with the border wall, that they didn't get Mexico to pay for it.
Do a photo
What are you, fucking Trump supporter? Like, what are you saying?
That President Obama built.
Maybe she's a former
bill that would earmark $650 million to continue building that.
I pledge that I am going to bring forward that bipartisan bill to further strengthen and secure our border. Yes, I am. And I'm going to work across the aisle to pass a comprehensive bill that deals with a broken immigration system. I think Jackson's question, part of it was to acknowledge that America has always had migration, but there needs to be a legal process for it. People have to earn it. And that's the point that I think is the most important point that can be made, which is we need a president who is grounded in common sense and practical outcomes. Like, let's just fix this. Let's just fix it. Why is it a logical perspective? Let's just fix the problem.
You're doing this compromise bill that does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I'm not afraid of good ideas where they occurred.
You said you don't think it's stupid.
I'm not afraid of good ideas.
She said the wall is a good idea.
I'm not afraid of good ideas.
I just talked about that wall, right? We didn't talk about it. He didn't actually.
The daughter.
But you do want to build
I want to strengthen our border.
This is Annalise Keene. She's from Philadelphia. She works as a fundraiser for Habitat for Humanity. She's registered with no party affiliation. She says she's a Democrat. She's leaning toward voting for you, but said she's yet to make her final decision in part because of the conflict in the Middle East. Annalise?
Thank you, and good evening, Madam Vice President. My question is, as president, what would you do to ensure not another Palestinian dies due to bombs being funded by U.S. tax dollars?
So I will say, and I think this is to your point, far too many innocent Palestinian civilians have been killed. It's unconscionable. And
she said Palestinians
we are now at a place where with Sinwar's death, I do believe we have an opportunity to bring the hostages home.
saying that?
Bring relief to the Palestinian people and work toward a two-state solution where Israel and the Palestinians in equal measure have security, where the Palestinian people have dignity, self-determination.
The question is, what would you do to ensure that no other Palestinian dies due to bombs being funded by U.S. tax dollars?
What do you say to voters who are thinking about supporting a third-party candidate or staying on the couch, not voting at all because of this issue?
Listen, I am not going to deny the strong feelings that people have. I don't know that anyone who has seen the images who would not have strong feelings about what has happened, much less those who have relatives who have died and been killed. And I know people and I've talked with people. So I appreciate that. But I also do know that for many people who care about this issue, they also care about bringing down the price of groceries. They also care about our democracy and not having a president of the United States who admires dictators and is a fascist. They also care about the fact that we need practical, common sense solutions from a leader who is willing to work across the aisle on behalf of the American people and not themselves.
Doug Burson would be
They
up
want
by
a president
15.
who cares about a fundamental freedom to make decisions about their own body. Understanding that we're not trying to change anyone's belief, but let's not have the government telling women what to do with their body.
I want you to meet Beth Sandberg. She's a realtor, a mom of 4 from Ballackinwood, Pennsylvania. She's a registered Democrat, says she's undecided because of concerns about anti-Semitism. Beth?
Yes!
Hi, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Beth.
for remembering we need to bring the hostages home.
Of course.
The rise of anti-Semitism and violence from anti-Semitism has risen greatly on college campuses and on our city streets. How would you combat this growing trend and protect our young adults?
Support our troops, Ribbon.
Thank you, Beth. You are right, and I will say that we have seen a rise in anti-Semitism. It is something that we have to be honest about and we have to deal with. As Attorney General, I actually published a hate crimes report. On a regular
what more can you do? You kill the anti-Zionist Jews on campus? Like what can you do more to combat anti-Semitism on college campuses?
We're looking into starting the policy of building a Gundam suit for Doug.
So that they understand what are the tropes, what are the roots of what we are seeing. So that we can actually have people be more understanding. We need to have laws in place.
Yeah, that's why I'm supporting the IHRA definition bill.
On behalf of anti-Semitism and hate, that they pay a serious consequence. We need to have the deterrence so that doesn't happen.
She's so much more passionate about this than the Palestinian dead children.
No,
she's popping off.
She stopped relying on all like the crutch connector phrases.
But I'm going to tell you what doesn't help. Again, I invite you to listen.
What if she said something crazy right now?
To listen to John Kelly, the former chief of staff of Donald Trump.
What did you think it was going to be?
Oh my God!
Told us.
How funny would it be?
I thought she was going to be like, we have to listen to the protesters.
No. She did no.
Like those of Hitler's.
Wouldn't it be funny though if she had just like fucked up and said something crazy? She was like,
who has
you gotta admit though,
Donald Trump is anti-Semitic.
He's like, listen,
I believe Donald Trump is a danger
and he's
to the well-being and security of America.
He has said that he's cast himself as a protector of Israel. Do you believe you would be more pro-Israel than Donald Trump?
I believe that Donald Trump is dangerous. I believe that when you have a president of the United States who is said to
who is confused by anyone at this point? Like, we know it's maximum support for Israel for both parties.
Many of them took place
what
in the
more
Oval
can you do?
Oh my!
And if the president
Anderson
of the
is like,
United
we
States,
brought a 6-year-old Palestinian that we extracted from under the rubble in Gaza. Like, will you kill her right now?
Hitler's generals, Anderson, come on. This is a serious issue.
This is so bad.
And we know.
God.
Who he is. He admires dictators, sending love letters back and forth
when
with
the
Kim
American
Jong-un.
Free Officers Movement wins, Anderson Cooper
The president of Russia, and then most recently, the reports are that in the
you're
height
going to
of
be able to
COVID,
throw bread at Anderson
when
Cooper.
most
and
Americans
he's
could
gonna
not get their hands
self-harm
on a
for eating
COVID
it because
test.
it's carbs.
Americans were
That's the
dying by the
only food he
hundreds a
gets.
day. He secretly
I
sent
personally think he should only do hurricane coverage.
to the
It was very
president of
funny.
Russia for his personal use. So again, this election in 13 days is presenting the American people with
It's
a
funny because
very
that woman is still voting
significant
Trump, by the way.
Yeah, no, they did. No shot.
And
no shot.
On the one side, on this
she's
issue
going to vote the same way
of who is going to model
if Kamala had really said
what it means to
they're kind
use
of
the bully
annoying.
pulpit of the President of the United States.
Yeah, she's going to vote as though Kamala said, we're
that in
dismantling the
tone,
Zionist
word,
entity
and
piece by
deed
piece.
is about
we are going to make a
lifting up
formal
our discourse.
merger between them.
Does
We need to follow China on this.
I'm going to tell you.
They've made inroads.
We are an incredible country, and we love our country. Y'all wouldn't be here unless we love our country. And there are certain things where we've just got to come together
Fucking stop.
and realize that we do believe in the importance of healthy debate on real issues. But there are certain standards we've got to have.
This is so
And, another point that even
Did
John
she ever
Kelly
listen
talked
to her
about,
own
I believe,
answers?
and many have, is January 6th, where you have the President of the United States defying the will of the people in a free and fair election and unleashing a violent mob who attacked the United States Capitol. 140 law enforcement officers were attacked. Some were killed.
It's kind of
so
funny
I say
that she barely said what she would do for combating anti-Semitism on campus. I'm no longer voting for Kamala Harris. I'm confused by whether or not she will take this issue seriously.
No, she didn't.
I'm a single issue voter, okay? Will every single college campus liberal sign a petition to say they will never disparage the beautiful state of Israel or not? If your answer is no, I don't know. Can't vote for you.
Yeah. How am I supposed to trust somebody like that with Tropes education?
Yeah, I'm a single issue voter. When will you restore Shai Davide's status at Columbia?
Yeah. When will you give Shai Davide a federally funded position where he is professor at large for every college in America?
Yeah, we need Shai Davide's in all campuses. Please.
Replace the Pledge of Allegiance in public schools with Shai Davide's thread about going viral for crying.
Yeah, that was cool. This is incredible stuff overall. This is masterclass. I mean, there's a couple of reiterations of decent policies. Wait, what? Hassan will become a single issue voter when they push for banning Zin. No, I'm already a single issue voter. I am a single issue voter. How will Kamala Harris combat anti-Semitism on college campuses? That's my single issue. There are still students out there that learn in classrooms that genocide is bad, for example. I don't think that that's appropriate. I think that sometimes genocide is good. For example, if the victims of the genocide are barbaric, rapist animal monsters like Arabs who have an antiquated ancient gene of anti-Semitism in their hearts. If you don't teach it like that, then people are going to learn the wrong lessons. Okay? That's just it. That's my single issue. Yeah. Okay? That's my single issue. And Kamala, her answers weren't that good. Okay? They were not that good on this issue. I do like that she was more passionate about answering that, for the record, than she was about answering the other person who was like, when will you stop murdering children with American weapons? And she was like, yeah, it's really bad. We're beginning to think about the humanity of the situation.
Does anyone on her team ever, do they take it in? Do they watch it? Do they go, maybe this is just pure nonsense?
Yeah, and then she was like, but people are... And then when someone asked, when Anderson asked the follow-up, okay, but what do you say to third-party voters that don't want to vote for you? He's like, well, I'm gonna make milk cartons cost less. So, who cares about the genocide stuff?
I'm trying.
It is pretty funny. It is pretty funny when she's like, I don't know why she thought every single question should be tacked back to Donald Trump. Should have should have an attachment at the end of it that Donald Trump is Hitler or something. Even though you also like his border wall, you literally verbatim said that border wall is some policies are good. I'm not going to say no to a good policy when talking about the border wall. When the question itself was literally, why did you say it was stupid in 2018?
That would actually be a good question for her that, again, she would not answer, which is if Donald Trump is Hitler, then what policies of his specifically do you not like?
Yeah.
Because you seem okay with a lot of them.
Yeah.
You don't disagree on Israel, on the border. What is it? What are the mitigating policies?
Oh, yeah. Is so Hillary 2016 coded? I swear if she throws this.
I kind of think, I don't know.
Hillary Clinton had way worse
Check. Here. Yeah, I got you. Can you hear me? Good. Yeah, right? Amazing. Wow, it's a good sign. Not much. Doing all right. Just making sure you know what's going on with the Trump sign across the street. It was down. It was up last. Well, let's see. It was up like in the evening yesterday, but then all last night it was gone, and all today it was gone until about, I'd say, 4 o'clock. They returned. They were back. It's for like 3 days. I think it started Tuesday. Today, I thought it was resolved today because basically it was gone all day. There was nothing on their lawn, and then, like I said, later today, about 4 or 5 signs appeared again. So it's just like, oh my God, this is super. No, not at all. Because yesterday it was like up and down all day, like at different times. No rhyme or reason to it. And then today it was just gone. Yeah, I mean, right. It's so bizarre. I've never spoken to them ever, so I would be weird. But yeah, I'm dying to know. I had this other theory, like I could see if, like, I mean, this isn't really a real good theory at all, but I was like, it's something like maybe like an autistic kid would do, like if they were like really weird and they like Trump or something, like, and their parents were like, no, don't do that, and the kid kept doing it, but they would just take the signs away. So that's not it, but yeah, it's just because I think I didn't know this. Rachel bought the Harris sign, but they're not cheap. I thought they would just give them to you. No, not in this case. The sign, she did like donate or whatever, $20, and then another $20 shipping to the campaign to get the sign. I was like, damn. I was like, wow. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah. Well, other than that, yeah, how was your day? Yeah, just saw it a little bit ago. I didn't get a chance to check it out. That's something about Trump's a fascist.